let's talk about what's in my bag. Okay, so I don't typically like this kind of thing. It's not that I don't like it, it's that I just don't, it's been done many a times, and I feel like it's not that interesting anymore in 2024. But I think what I kind of want to talk about in this video is just not only, what's in my bag, but just kind of the idea that it's funny how things change, and then it's also funny how things don't really change at all. I just want to preface this, I think, by saying it's a lot of Leica gear, and I think it feels kind of scummy sometimes when you do this with Leica stuff. And so I just want to inform everybody that it took me 15 plus years to acquire this type of kit, and I just don't want you to feel like you need any of this, to be honest. And hopefully by the end of this video, we can talk a little bit more about that idea. Sorry about that, but I just wanted to say, it's gross. I know my kit isn't even that crazy. If you're in the Leica world, it's not even that crazy. But I just wanted to preface that because I know there's a lot of people who dream of one day owning a Leica and who can't maybe right now afford it. Totally cool. Start small. That's what I did. Buy a battery. They're $300. So just buy a battery. So let's start with the bag. Okay, actually, no. This bag is not my daily driver. This bag, this Russell Athletics, which is like a Canadian sports, it's an American, but it's just very popular where I'm from in Saskatchewan, Canada. And this bag is $12 at Winners. And it's, you might be thinking, well, there's no protection. Well, you know what? I'm insured, all right? Okay, so this is my main driver. Honestly, I put one camera in here when I go out. Put all my wallet and all my stuff in there. Lip chap in the winter. For the purpose of this video, I'm not really a bag guy. You're not going to see me rocking a Billingham like all the fancy Leica people. They're very nice bags. I must admit, I did look at those bags the other day, but I just have so many bags, and a lot of them serve different purposes. I have a wandered provoke bag for kind of like if I have to bring my computer with me, etc. This bag is actually a Think Tank Retrospective 30 bag. It's a really old bag. I bought it on Facebook Marketplace, I think like 6 years ago. It looks brand new, and it has been all around the world with me. And it's a good size. So I like this bag. It's an over-the-shoulder bag. God, these videos really are cringe, aren't they? This bag right now is holding 3 full-frame cameras that I own and kind of rock every day. And then I also have smaller sensor cameras, and I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end. So my first camera, let's just go with the Leica MP. This lens is the Leica 35mm Summilux. This is the Leica M9-P. I think I might have just misspoke and said MP, but it doesn't matter. I actually did a video last year about this, and it was my black M9P, which I sold because it had a weird dead pixel problem that is quite common with CCD sensors. I just didn't like that, so I wanted to get a better one. What do I like about it? Well, I have a whole video talking about what I like about it. I really appreciate the CCD sensor. Paired with this 35 Summilux, obviously it's insane and beautiful. If you have the right lighting, the right situation for this camera, it hits harder than any other camera that I've ever owned. I don't know what it is. Well, it's probably the CCD sensor. If you're kind of a first-time digital Leica, or you're looking to buy your first digital Leica, I think you should start here for sure. It'll introduce you to this sort of M experience, but it's also amazing, and you'll have a lot of fun shooting these. I'm not getting rid of this. I don't think I ever will. So this is my MP. This particular camera was the product of a very long process of going from camera to camera to camera, because to be honest, every single Leica that I've ever owned, I've loved. And so that's what makes it really challenging. It's not a question of which do I like better. It's which do I love more. I started with the M2. I had a few different versions of the M6, and then I bought the MP. What I thought was I really missed my M2, and so maybe getting the MA would be like the perfect in-between of the MP and the M2, something in between, a fully mechanical camera that didn't have a light meter, and that I could just, the pure Leica sort of film experience. What I realized when I got that camera is, one, it's an amazing camera. I love it. But two, honestly, I just connected more with the MP, and that's all it was I just, for some reason, kept wanting to get my MP back. And shout out Tim Lee, he always hooks me up. So thank you, Tim, for always pulling through on sourcing me these amazing things. This is paired with the 35mm Summicron version 6 aspherical. I had the version 5 aspherical. I really love the way that the aspherical lenses look on film. And so rather than get sort of an older 35, which I do love shooting older lenses, you guys know, I used to have a Summicron DR that I lived on my film cameras. I'm a character hungry son of a gun. I really also love the sharp aspherical modern lenses. The 35mm Chron was my first ever Leica lens, and that was the version 5. And so here I am, however many years later with the version 6. And this is kind of like a common thing that we're going to kind of come to, is that I have been around the world trying to figure out what it is that I like. This whole experience for the past number of years has really just taught me that maybe what you like is right in front of your goddamn face. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe you should just go out and shoot. Well, it is fun to purchase new gear. Like for people like me, I'm as interested in gear as I am in photography. Gear acquisition syndrome doesn't really apply to me because part of my hobby is the exploration of different cameras, different lenses, and just photography in general. So trying out different film developers and different film stocks, things like that. The exploration of that is something that I'm very much interested in. I will say that through doing that, you sometimes feel like you might want something, and something might be better than something else. And sometimes you just got to really think about it, and maybe what you really love is already in your hands, and you should just maybe be grateful, and stop being not grateful. That kind of leads very nicely into this last one, which is my favorite camera, digital camera of all time, the Leica Q2 Monochrom. I have a video about this one as well. I very much love this camera. What I was saying just a second ago about how the good things are right in front of your nose. This camera I let go last year sometime. I got the Leica M10 Monochrom because I'm like, oh, you know what? I have a 50 Summilux. It would be nice to pair that with a monochrome sensor camera, and it was. But I couldn't stop thinking about the Q2M when I let it go, and I instantly knew when I got the M10 Monochrom in my hands that it was a mistake letting go of the Q2M. I think I shot the M10 Monochrom for about 6 weeks, and I knew that I needed to get back to Q2M, so I let go of the Monochrom to get back one of these, and it costed me some money. I think the lesson that I learned in that was that you shouldn't do that. You should maybe try a camera first, and not let go of your prized possession, because I knew at the time of letting this go that this was my favorite camera of all time. And then I let it go anyways. So anyways, I got it back. This camera has been with me now since like May, June. But I've been shooting this camera for about 2 years. I spoke about in my last video kind of about the 28mm look. I am super drawn to that look, especially on black and white film. I just don't like using 28mm that much on M bodies because of the viewfinder. Maybe one day I'll get an M body with a 0.58 viewfinder, and then I'll just have a 28 living on that. But for now, this is my 28mm camera. This is my favorite way to shoot digital photos. Like, to be honest, this camera comes with me in any major, let's say I go on a trip, or let's say I go to somewhere that's going to be important. This camera comes with me because I know that it is going to perform in any situation. It can see in the dark. It is extremely sharp. This is one of the best lenses that I've ever used in my life. The monochrome sensor, obviously beautiful. I don't miss color. If anything, I feel like this camera makes me appreciate color so much more. The photos that I take really invites the viewer to fill in the gaps. Like, it doesn't tell the full story all the time, but yet in that it tells a better story because you're required to engage with the photos of a black and white image. And that's really what it comes down to. With my love for monochrome, I honestly shoot like 90%. The only time I'm shooting color really is on my M9-P, and that's just because I love the colors out of it. But even that, I'll shoot JPEG in black and white, and then I just have the raw files if I want them. So those are my 3 main cameras. I don't want you to think that that is necessary, because it's certainly not. You could have one of these cameras or none of these cameras and still have a great time shooting. And I often think back to like when I first started in photography. I had a Canon like T5i, and I shot that camera without even, I've always been thirsty for knowledge. I'm so drawn to photography because it constantly demands me to learn new things. At that time, all I was learning was just composition, the decisive moment, like the very fundamentals of photography. And I just think back to how lovely it was to have that passion, you know? And it didn't matter about the gear, and it still doesn't, to be honest. Like when I go out and shoot, I don't really care about the gear. It's about going out, having fun, making photos. Some of the best photos ever made were taking on some of the shittiest cameras ever made. So I just want to quickly mention these other 2 small pieces to my kit. I consider them very essential because they kind of give me a little bit of something different when I feel like I need something different. While they're not my sort of everyday, like these 3, they are really, I consider, essential to my kit. So this is the 50mm Summicron Rigid version 2. So I had a 50mm dual range, but that lens doesn't work with my M9. It only focused to 1 to 4 meters. So I couldn't focus it to infinity. And so that's what made me start to check out the Rigid. I just wanted something that could work at the full range. And so I will greatly miss my dual range. But this just seems like it works better, because why wouldn't it, you know? Like I miss the close focusing, but I don't think I use the close focusing enough to justify keeping a DR and a Rigid. Very essential piece of kit. I love and adore this lens. Yeah. And then the other thing is the Leica SF20 flash. This is a bit of a cheaper Leica flash. People don't love it because it's, I guess it's a little less powerful than, I think the popular one is the SF40. I'm not going to talk too much about this flash because it's just a flash. But the thing I like about it is how small it is, and I use it quite often on my Q2M and my MP. And sometimes actually I'll throw it on my M9, I guess. Yeah. It's just nice to have a little bit of light if you need it, especially for film, etc. And I really love the black and white look with flash. So sometimes I'll just do that as like a creative choice. So definitely an essential piece of kit. I use it probably more than most people use their flashes for Leica. So let's talk about, pull it right out of my pocket. Ugh. All right, that was hilarious. All right. Okay, that's what you get for sitting in your child's chair. Okay, so this camera is my come everywhere with me camera. And I mean that in the sense that if I'm going out shooting, I will bring, you know, one of my Leica cameras usually. But if I'm going out to the grocery store, this comes with me. This will go into my inside pocket, and it's there if I need it. You know, I've taken it into the club. Yeah, believe it or not, I still dabble in the clubs once a year or so. I really take this camera everywhere. And it's just so easy to, like, it fits in any pocket that I have. These pants are super tight, and this still fits in my pocket. So I was not a fan when I first got it. I also, again, have another video about this. I just have grown to just really appreciate what this camera means in terms of my whole kit. It is just the camera that can really just come with me wherever and still allow me to experience photography in my everyday regular life. Because believe it or not, I do sort of have a life outside of photography. And just this coming along with me wherever that may take me is just fun. So yeah, this is the Ricoh GR3. I'd love to try out a GR3X. I think this camera in 2024 is still a great buy. I think you could even get a GR2, and that's still a really fun camera. And it has flash, that camera, which is nice. These are the things that I'm shooting with today in January of 2024. Everybody's kit's personal. I don't think that we should be judging people based on what they shoot with or what their kit looks like. There are people all over the world with all different types of income that can only afford so much, that can afford way more than they even ever need. And then people somewhere in the middle of both of those two extremes. And I think we should all just be friends and encourage each other and just make the community a little bit of a better place. When you're thinking about getting something, ask yourself, are you getting it because you like buying new gear and exploring the world of gear? Then get it. And don't feel bad. Don't feel like that's gear acquisition syndrome. That's like such a weird thing. If you just enjoy exploring new gear, then explore it and don't feel guilty about it. But if you think you need any of this stuff to make a photo, that is a completely different question. You can just shoot with a freaking iPhone and have fun making photos and start there, because the only thing that really matters is composition, understanding light, and just, a good photo can be shot with literally anything. So that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.